Welcome to No Filter State, short audio stories from the other side of the line. Some true, some could be, but all of them real enough to hurt. Let's begin. Straight out of Choices. Chapter 1, Ain't No Fairy Tale. Compton, 1989. The air smelled like burnt rubber and fried lies. Helicopters hovered overhead like metal vultures, and corner boys posted up like street lamps that never turned off. Every alley had a secret. Every block had a body. And for Lil D, Q, and Trey, the world was just a ticking bomb, and every day was a gamble with the fuse. They weren't trying to be heroes. They weren't even trying to be good. They were just three young black men in a city that wanted them dead or invisible. But somewhere between the re-ups and the raid vans, between the crack smoke and the broken homes, a different dream had started to take root. A dream wrapped in bass lines and 16 bars. The garage behind Q's auntie's house was hot, claustrophobic, and smelled like motor oil and sweat. A beat looped on an old tape deck, the kind with the buttons you had to press real hard just to make them stick. Lil D paced back and forth, nodding his head with twitchy energy like a pit bull off the leash. "Yo, Q," he said, grinning wide, eyes lit like firecrackers. "You heard that beat I laid down last night? Shit slap, huh, nigga?" Q sat on a milk crate in the corner, elbows on his knees, his eyes scanning the scuffed floor like he was reading the future in dirt. He was always like that, quiet, thinking too much, like he was already 10 years ahead and trying to figure out how to bring the rest of them with him. "I heard it," he said finally. "Shit clean, real clean, but beats don't pay the rent, D." Lil D threw his hands up. "Man, fuck rent. I'm tired of serving rock to fiends who can't even look me in the eye no more. On my mama, we got something. We got heat. You know that, bro." From the shadows by the workbench, Trey spoke. His voice was low, slow, heavy like wet concrete. "Heart don't stop bullets, lil nigga." Lil D stiffened. "Why you always gotta kill the vibe, Trey?" "Ain't killing nothing. Just reminding you, this ain't no fairy tale. You think a mixtape gon' save you from a hollow tip?" Lil D's jaw clenched. "Man, I ain't trying to die out here." "Ain't nobody trying to," Q said. "But if we don't do nothing different, we gon' end up like the rest, dead or locked." There was a pause. Just a beat playing on loop, hypnotic and stubborn. Then Q stood up. "I've been talking to this cat out in Long Beach. Got a setup. He say we can lay down tracks for cheap, real shit. Not this janky-ass tape deck." Lil D's eyes lit up. "Swear? We going? Say less, nigga. I'm ready." Trey didn't move. He just stared at the wall like he saw through it. "Studio don't mean shit if y'all ain't got nothing real to say. You want to rap about the struggle? You better bleed on that mic." "I already do," Lil D shot back. "Every time I spit, that's me dying a little." The room got quiet. Q looked at them both, then down at his hands. Hands that used to build Lego towers as a kid, now stained from counting dirty money. "If we make it, y'all think they'll still see us as thugs?" Lil D scoffed. "Man, fuck what they see. I don't care if they see a monster, long as I eat." Trey finally moved. He walked over, lit a blunt with a crackling flame, and blew out the smoke slow. "You spit truth, I got your back. But remember, the streets don't forget, and they sure as hell don't forgive." Outside, the sound of the world kept turning. But inside that garage, for just a moment, they were kings. Broke, tired, angry, but kings. Chapter 2, The First Taste. The ride to Long Beach was quiet, except for the hum of tires and the occasional wheeze from the busted-ass AC in Q's cousin's Cutlass. They rolled with the windows down, smoke trailing behind them like ghosts of the life they were trying to outrun. Lil D sat in the back, eyes locked on the passing streets, mouthing lyrics to himself. Trey rode shotgun, still and unreadable as usual. Q drove, both hands on the wheel, but his mind was on the mic. None of them said it out loud, but they all felt it. This was different. This wasn't some backyard freestyle over a beatbox. This was real. Studio time, tracks, a chance, however small. The spot wasn't much, a converted garage behind a liquor store, but inside it smelled like sweat, wires, and potential. "Y'all the Compton kids?" asked the engineer, a light-skinned cat with dreads and a Wu-Tang tee. His name was Rico. Q said y'all could spit. Don't waste my time. Q nodded. "We ain't here to play, homie." They recorded for 3 hours straight. Lil D brought the fire. Raw, reckless, honest. "Let me run that one more time, nigga. I swear I got this bar that'll melt the booth." Trey came in like thunder. Slow, steady, menacing. "Y'all better not cut me off. I'm speaking for the dead, not the radio." And Q, he tied it all together. His verses bled intelligence, pain, and precision. Rico sat back after the last take, nodding slowly. This some real shit. Ain't just noise. Y'all got stories." Trey leaned on the booth's wall, arms crossed. "We got more than that, bruh. We got reasons." Lil D grinned wide. "So what now? You send this to Dre? Cube? Somebody?" Rico laughed. "Man, it ain't that simple. But I got some connects. Underground radio. Maybe even a college station or two. Y'all keep showing up like this. People gonna listen." It was the first time in a long time they heard something other than sirens or gunshots. They heard hope. That night, back in Compton, the city didn't feel as heavy. Even the corners looked a little less sharp. Until they saw Smoke. He was lean, twitchy, always sweating like he owed somebody money, which he usually did. He rolled up on them outside the liquor store, talking fast. "Yo, Q, you still got weight moving. I got this new crew needing something. Fast money." Q shook his head. "Nah, I'm out. We working on music now." Smoke laughed, loud and sloppy. "Music? Man, what that paying? Couple nickels and a dream? Y'all wild." Trey stepped forward. "You got business? Talk to someone else. We done with that shit, nigga." Smoke eyed Trey and backed up a step, but not without spitting one last line. "Aight, just remember, dreams don't buy coffins." Q watched him walk off. Lil D said nothing, just stared at the ground. Trey lit a cigarette. The streets don't clap when you leave. They wait. That night, they sat in the garage and played their demo tape back for the 10th time. No applause, no lights, just 3 voices speaking truth into the dark. Chapter 3. Heat from the Airwaves. 2 weeks later, just after midnight, Q's pager blew up. He was half asleep on the couch, drool on his hoodie sleeve, when it buzzed once. Then again, then 5 more times. Something was up. He sat up, wiped his face, and grabbed the phone off the wall. "Yo," Lil D was screaming through the receiver. "We on the radio, nigga. We on the fucking radio." Q blinked. "What?" "Power 106. Rico got us in rotation. I heard Block Preachers playing after NWA, dawg." Q dropped the phone. By the time the 3 of them met up at the corner store, it was like Christmas came early. Lil D was hyped, jumping in place like he couldn't stand still. "Yo, I ain't lying, nigga. They played the whole fucking verse. That shit hit like fire. No cap." Q tried to play it cool, but even he was smirking. And Trey, he didn't smile, but the way he lit his smoke with 2 slow nods said enough. Their demo, Block Preachers, was out there. A track about life on the corner, about dealers who became prophets and bullets that carried more truth than textbooks. But not everybody was happy. Next day, Trey got word from one of his old heads. Big Don, ex-blood, with too many scars and too much memory. Word was, block preachers was hitting too close to home. Some fools from East Side think y'all sending shots at they crew, Big Don said, especially that second verse. Trey frowned. Ain't nobody mention names. Don't matter, Don grunted. They feel disrespected. That's all it take, young blood. That night, while the tape kept playing on radios and boomboxes around the block, the three of them sat in the garage, this time in silence. Lil D finally broke it. Man, we ain't say nothing that ain't real. If they feeling guilty, maybe they should look in the fucking mirror. Q sighed. This is what happens when truth sound too much like a threat. Trey stood up. From now on, y'all move careful. No more late night freestyles outside 7-Eleven. No more saying where we record, you feel me? Lil D clenched his jaw. What, we gonna hide now? Fuck all that. Trey's eyes turned cold. We gonna survive, nigga. It was the first time Lil D didn't argue. That week, Rico called and said a small promoter wanted them for a showcase in Carson. Nothing big, but a crowd, maybe even an A and R from Priority trying to scoop talent. Hope started to creep back in, but in Compton, every high comes with a shadow, and the shadows were getting closer. Chapter 4, Smoke in the Air. The flyer said Underground Uprise, a small showcase in Carson, 20 minutes outside Compton. Concrete stage and a rec center gym, maybe 50 people max. No lights, no glitz, just mics, bars, and bass. But for D, Q, and Trey, it felt like Madison Square Garden. They showed up with nothing but a tape, a dream, and matching hoodies that said Block Preachers in black marker, ghetto merch, zero budget. But they stepped on that stage like they owned it. And when the beat dropped, the crowd moved. Lil D attacked the mic first, his voice sharp, spit flying as he bounced on his heels, veins popping. People nodded, heads swayed, girls shouted. Then came Q, calm, calculated, cold. Trey closed it out, no hype, just presence. Deep voice cutting through the room like smoke through stained glass. By the time the track ended, the room was buzzing. No label scouts showed up. No cash fell from the sky, but for the first time, strangers clapped for their pain. After the set, they stood outside the rec center, passing a bottle of brandy, breathing heavy, high on adrenaline and affirmation. Lil D laughed. Bro, you seen that shorty in the front row? She was staring like I was Eazy-E out this bitch. You look more like Bushwick Bill, Q muttered. Man, fuck you, Lil D grinned. Yo, for real though, that shit felt different. That felt like we was somebody, nigga. But Trey wasn't smiling. He was scanning the parking lot, eyes sharp, body tense. That's when he saw the blue El Camino roll by. Slow, too slow, tinted windows, plates taped up. He muttered, eyes up. Something ain't right. The car crept past once, disappeared around the block. Q's voice dropped. Think it's them? Could be, Trey said. We ain't waiting to find out. But they didn't have time to leave. The El Camino came back. Then everything blurred. Lil D hit the ground, arms over his head. Q dove behind a trash can. Trey didn't move. He pulled his piece and returned fire, calm as stone. Population, pop, pop. Screams erupted from the lot. People scattered like dice on concrete. Then silence. El Camino was gone. So was the bottle. So was the buzz. Trey stood still, chest heaving. Y'all hit? I'm good, Q said, brushing off glass. Lil D sat up, breathing hard. I think I pissed myself. Trey looked at him. Good. That mean you alive, nigga. Sirens howled in the distance. Q looked at them both. We gotta go. Now. And just like that, the night they became performers, they also became targets. Chapter 5, Retaliation or Retreat. The sun came up like it didn't care, like the night before hadn't happened, like bullets hadn't flown and blood hadn't dried on the pavement outside a rec center where 3 young black men tried to chase a different dream. But Compton remembered, and so did they. Q paced back and forth in the garage, jaw tight, palms sweaty. The tape deck was off. No beats, no verses, just silence and nerves. Trey leaned against the wall, cleaning his piece slow, like a ritual. Lil D sat on a crate, hoodie up, hands shaking around a cigarette he wasn't even smoking. "Why us?" he asked quietly. "We ain't dissed nobody. We ain't said no names." Trey didn't look up. "You said the truth. That's worse." Q stopped pacing. "We need to make a move." Trey raised an eyebrow. "What kind of move?" "You know what kind." There was a pause. Trey nodded once, slow. "You ain't built for that, Q." Q stepped forward. "Don't tell me what I'm built for, nigga. They shot at us, at me. We ain't just gonna sit here and pray they don't come back." Lil D finally spoke. "Y'all talking crazy. We supposed to be rappers, man. Artists, not killers." Trey looked at him. "You think a verse gonna stop a bullet?" "No, but a body won't either." Lil D snapped. "All it does is keep the fire burning. We got a shot now. Radio play, a following. That showcase might have been nothing, but it felt like something. You want to throw that away for street pride?" Q didn't answer, but his eyes said enough. Trey stood, tucked the gun into his waistband. "Aight, so what's the plan?" "We lay low," Q said. "No retaliation. Not yet. We record, we build, we make noise so loud they can't ignore us. That's how we win." Trey smirked, almost sarcastic. "You really believe that shit, huh?" "I have to," Q said. "It's the only way I sleep." That night, they hit the studio again. New track, new tone, rage, pain, survival. The hook screamed louder than the beat. "They want us gone, but we still here, scars and all." Chapter 6. Enemies with Ears. The track hit harder than any they'd done before. Scars and All was raw, loud, angry. Rico dropped it on a late-night college station in Pasadena, and within days, it was playing from car stereos, corner boomboxes, even inside barbershops that usually kept the dial on Luther and Anita. People felt it, and people started asking, who the hell are the block preachers? But with the noise came whispers. At first, it was just random heads on the block. "Yo, them kids from Compton talking like they got bodies." Then it was gang boys muttering about disrespect, about lines that sounded a little too real. Then it was old heads nodding slow and warning, "Y'all talking too loud for the wrong kind of ears." One afternoon, while leaving Rico's studio, Q noticed a beige Caprice parked across the street. Tinted windows, no plates. It didn't move, didn't even flinch. He didn't mention it to the others. Not yet. Lil D, on the other hand, was on fire. "Man, we on," he shouted, pacing in circles. "I seen a man I don't even know rapping my verse at the burger spot. I told him, 'Yo, that's me.' Nigga damn near dropped his fries." Q laughed, but his eyes were restless. "You ever think maybe we too visible now?" "What you mean?" "I mean, we spit truth, yeah, but truth cuts, and some folks don't like bleeding." Trey just nodded. Eyes everywhere, streets got cameras without lenses. Later that night, back in the garage, they were working on a new hook when Lil D's phone rang. He picked up, listened, then went pale. He hung up slow. "That was Smiley. You remember him, Trey?" Trey looked up. "Yeah, Crip out of Willowbrook. He say, word is, someone passed our tape to a detective." Q's heart stopped. "The fuck for?" "Apparently there's a line in Scars that match an open case." Silence fell like dust. Trey leaned back, arms crossed. We ain't do shit. Yeah, Q muttered, but we rapped like we did. And that was the problem. They were becoming something dangerous, not to themselves, but to systems built on silence. And silence don't like rebels with microphones. Chapter 7, Blood Don't Make You Brothers. The night air was heavy, thick with that California heat that clings to your skin even after the sun's long gone. They sat on Q's back porch, sharing a blunt and cheap fries from a greasy paper bag. The world had gotten loud lately, but tonight it was quiet, unsettlingly quiet. Lil D was laid out on a busted lawn chair, hoodie over his face, blowing smoke rings into the sky. Trey sat on the steps, shirt off, tattoos glowing under the porch light like old stories too tired to be retold. Q leaned on the railing, sipping warm orange soda, thinking, always thinking. You ever wish we was just regular? Lil D mumbled. Q glanced over. What's regular even mean out here? I don't know. Like school, basketball practice, mama's making dinner instead of, knocking out on the bathroom floor. Trey didn't say a word, but his jaw clenched. Q sighed. Yeah, I feel you, but we ain't get dealt that hand. We got this one. And we play it till we lose? Lil D asked. No, Q said. We play it till we flip the whole damn table. They sat there for a long time. No music, no sirens, just crickets and memory. Then Trey broke the silence. Y'all ever think about leaving? Like, for real? Lil D sat up. Leave Compton? Trey nodded. Yeah, just dip. No more turf, no more looking over your shoulder, new names, new lives. Lil D laughed, but it wasn't from joy. More like he didn't trust himself to believe it. My mom would never make it out, he said. Even if I did. Q looked at Trey. You serious? Trey met his eyes. I ain't never been more. Something shifted in the air. Q saw it. Not fear, not weakness, but tiredness. Trey had always been the hardest, the coldest. But now, he looked worn, like an old pit bull that fought too many fights and didn't know what peace felt like anymore. I ain't leaving, Lil D said finally. I ain't running. Not now. Not when folks start listening. Q nodded slowly. I ain't running either, he said. But if it ever come down to it, he looked at Trey. I'd rather leave with you than die without you. Trey didn't smile, but he said the closest thing to love he ever would. Blood don't make you brothers. Loyalty do. In the distance, a car rolled by slow. Real slow. They all went silent. No one reached for a gun, but no one looked away. Chapter 8, Wolves in Uniform. It started with a knock, but not the kind that waits for permission. Q opened the door to flashing badges and cold faces. Two plainclothes detectives, one black and one white, both in their 40s. No names, just presence, the kind that felt like a storm cloud over your soul. You Marcus? One asked, casual like they were selling insurance. It's Q. Right, the other said, stepping in without being invited. We've got a few questions about a track you recorded, scars and all. Mind if we sit? Q didn't answer, just stood still as they helped themselves to the couch. One of them leaned forward, elbows on knees, smile fake and practiced. Let's be clear, we ain't here about music. We're here about murder. A kid named Rico Johnson, shot in a drive-by last year. Unsigned case. Funny thing is, your second verse, it's got details that never went public. Q's stomach twisted. I write from experience, he said, voice low. That don't make me guilty. You're right, the detective nodded. But it does make you interesting. The other one pulled a small recorder from his jacket, placed it on the table like a weapon. You want to talk, Q? Or you want to let this tape talk for you? Q stared at it. He thought of Lil D, of Trey, of how far they'd come, and how close they were to losing it all. I got nothing to say without a lawyer. The older detective chuckled. Smart kid. Dumb choices, but smart. They stood. Before leaving, the taller one turned back. Word of advice? Fame don't make you untouchable. Sometimes it just makes you easier to find. They left like they came, quiet, deliberate, like wolves in priest robes. That night, Q told no one, not even Trey, not yet. But Trey knew something was wrong the second he saw Q's face in the garage. You good? Q nodded. Just tired. But Trey didn't believe it. He never did. Outside, a black sedan parked down the street, engine running, windows dark, watching. Chapter 9, The Offer. Lil D sat on the steps outside his mama's apartment building, hoodie pulled low, hands stuffed deep in his sleeves. Upstairs in 3B, she was screaming again. Not words, just noise. That hollow kind of pain that don't need language. The kind that comes after years of burning your soul one pipe at a time. He stared at the sidewalk. The unlit cigarette dangled between his fingers like a thought he couldn't finish. He never lit it, just held it, like it gave him something to hold on to when everything else kept slipping. He didn't notice the unmarked car until it was almost at the curb. No sirens, no lights, just silence and calm menace. Two men stepped out, plain clothes, 40s, government faces, cold but polite. They didn't flash badges. They didn't need to. You Derek? The taller one asked. Lil D? He didn't answer. We're not here to arrest you, the other said. Just want to talk. Lil D stayed silent, but they took that as permission. The tall one sat on the steps beside him like he belonged there. He didn't. We've been listening, he said, to the tapes. That Scars and All joint, solid track, heavy, got people talking. Lil D didn't move. You're talented, the man continued, and smart, which is why we're talking to you and not kicking in doors. The second man leaned against the railing. CD, your lyrics, they hit hard, maybe a little too hard. Details in that verse line up with a drive-by case we've been sitting on. Rico Johnson, shot last year. No suspects. Till now. Lil D frowned. I didn't do shit. We know. The seated man nodded. We don't think you pulled the trigger, but you run with people who might have, and that makes you useful. Lil D turned to look at him. So what, you want me to snitch? No, the other one said. We want you to succeed. He crouched down now, closer, like he was confiding in him. You help us and we make things easier. Your mom gets into real rehab. You stay clean, maybe even get backing for this music thing from someone who owes us a favor. Lil D let out a sharp breath. Y'all really trying to bribe me with a studio session? We're trying to give you a life, the taller one said. You keep riding with Trey and Q, you're going to end up in a cage or a casket, no third option. They stood. Think about it, the cop added as he stepped back toward the car, before one of your boys makes that choice for you. Then they were gone. Lil D didn't move. He sat there, cigarette still between his fingers, cold and unsmoked, because deep down, he knew they hadn't just offered him a deal, they'd handed him a match and waited to see if he'd strike. Chapter 10, Static Between Us. They met in the garage like always. Same flickering bulb overhead, same busted tape deck humming low in the background, same beat looping like a broken heartbeat. But the air wasn't the same. It had weight now, like something unsaid was sitting in the corner, watching. Q trying to finish a verse that kept falling apart halfway through. Lil D paced near the door, hoodie up, chewing the inside of his cheek. Trey sat back in his usual spot, arms crossed, eyes sharp, watching them both like a wolf in the woods. They hadn't laid down a new track in almost a week. Q finally broke the silence. We gotta move, we losing time. Lil D stopped pacing. I know. You been saying that, Trey said, but you ain't been acting like it. Lil D shot him a glare. What that supposed to mean, nigga? Trey didn't raise his voice, didn't flinch. You moving different. Keep disappearing, showing up late. Eyes always somewhere else. Q looked up. We're all feeling the heat. Maybe he's just dealing with it his own way. But he didn't sound convinced. Lil D stepped toward the table, grabbed a half-filled water bottle, then set it down without drinking. His hands wouldn't stay still. I'm good, he muttered. Y'all acting like I'm the problem. We all got shit going on. Trey leaned forward. You talked to anyone lately? What? Anyone who don't belong on this side of the city? Lil D's jaw tightened. Nah. Q watched the exchange in silence. He wanted to believe D, but something felt cracked, like static in the middle of a clean verse. Trey stood up slow. Don't lie to me, D. I said I ain't talked to nobody. Trey stared at him for a long time, then turned and walked toward the back of the garage. He didn't say another word. Lil D sank into a folding chair, staring at the floor. Q stayed quiet. His pen hadn't moved in minutes. Outside, a car drove past slow. Again, same black sedan, second night in a row. Q watched it disappear through the slit in the blinds, stomach turning. Whatever they were building, music, legacy, escape, it was starting to crack. And this time, it wasn't just the streets that might take them down. It was each other. Chapter 11, Fire in the Booth. The mic hung from the ceiling like a noose. The booth smelled like sweat, foam, and half-finished dreams. Rico had patched together some new gear, better mics, tighter monitors, a new reel-to-reel he borrowed from a closed-down campus radio station. But none of that mattered, because the fire wasn't in the wires, it was in their chests. Track's hot, Rico said from behind the glass. Y'all sure you want to come in with this kind of heat? This shit sound like war. Q stepped to the mic. It is. The beat kicked in. Slow, menacing, like footsteps down a dark alley. Bass heavy enough to rattle lungs. Hi-hats like teeth grinding. Q went first. His voice was calm, but every word landed like a knife tip. Labels calling, but they want a version that don't scare the suburbs. I ain't trying to clean the blood off, for nobody. I'm from the part of the map that ain't even got a name, just chalk lines, cold nights, and the sound of shame. He stepped back, breathing slow. Lil D moved up without a word, eyes low, voice tight. He didn't rap, he bled. Mama's eyes glassy, lighter burns on her skin. I'm praying to a God that don't ever check in. Cops asking questions, say they want to help, but I seen what help looks like, a cell and a belt. Trey was last, and when he grabbed the mic, it didn't feel like a verse. It felt like a threat. I don't make songs, I make warning. You want peace? Don't wake me in the morning. Ain't no saving me, I'm past that line. Only reason I rap is to buy y'all time. When the beat cut out, the silence that followed was electric. Rico leaned into the mic from the control room. God damn. No one spoke. Q leaned against the wall, drenched in sweat. Lil D sat down, head in hands. Trey stared at the floor. You hear that? Q said quietly. Lil D looked up. What? That was it. That's the one. But no one smiled. because the verse was real, too real, and now it was out there, a target on tape. Chapter 12, Black Tape, Blackmail. The track was supposed to stay with Rico, locked up in that dusty little studio on 138th, buried on a reel next to old demos and beat drafts. But in the city, nothing stays buried, not for long. 3 nights later, Q got a call. Unknown number, no name, just static. Then a voice, male, calm. Strong verses, especially Trey's, sounds like he's already accepted his fate. Click. That was it. Q stood in the middle of his room, frozen, phone still to his ear long after the line went dead. He didn't sleep that night. The next morning, Rico showed up to the garage, looking pale. I don't know how it happened, he said. I swear to God I ain't give it to no one. Q didn't yell, didn't blink. Who else was in the studio? No one, Rico said. Except one of my cousins came through, said he needed a dub or something. I stepped out for like 10 minutes. Shit was still rolling. I didn't think. Q raised a hand. Don't, just don't. Trey paced in the corner, fists tight. They got it? Q nodded. They got it. Lil D sat on the steps, head down. He hadn't said much since they recorded. Just stayed quiet, jittery, off. Trey looked at him now. You knew, didn't you? Lil D didn't answer. About them cops. You talked to him. Still no answer. Q stepped between them. Stop. But Trey's voice cut sharp. You brought him to our doorstep, nigga. Finally, Lil D stood. I ain't give him nothing. I didn't. They came to me. Yeah, but I ain't fold. On everything. Q looked at him long. You sure? Lil D's eyes filled. I ain't no fucking rat, Q. Silence. Outside, a dog barked. A baby cried. Life went on. Inside the garage, everything was still. Trey turned to leave. If this blows back on us, I ain't going down quiet. And just like that, something broke between them. Not completely, but enough to hear the crack. Chapter 13, No More Demos. They didn't go back to the studio. The garage stayed quiet. No more beats, no more hooks, no more pretending this was just about music. Trey stopped answering calls. He disappeared before, but this felt different, like he wasn't just laying low, like he was pulling away, preparing for something. Q sat alone in the garage, most nights, watching dust float through the cracked light bulb glow, pen in hand, but nothing came out. His verses were gone, like they'd run out of air. Lil D didn't show up for 3 days. When he finally did, he looked thinner, eyes sunken, hoodie hanging off his shoulders. Where you been? Q asked. D shrugged. Around. You been talking to them again? No. You sure? I said no, nigga. Q stared at him. Wanted to believe him, still did, but belief was getting expensive, and trust had interest. I saw Trey last night, Lil D said suddenly. He's strapped, walking like he waiting on a war. Q rubbed his face. We're already in one. Rico called the next morning. Didn't say much. Just, you need to come see this. Q arrived at the studio 10 minutes later. On the front door, someone had spray painted one word in red. Snitch. Inside, the place was wrecked. Gear trashed, reels unspooled, monitors smashed. Whoever did it, they knew what to hit. Rico stood in the middle of it, hands on his head. I'm done, man. I got family. I can't go out like this, bruh. Q didn't blame him. He didn't say anything at all, because he already knew this wasn't about music anymore. This was war. No more demos, no more dreams, just survival. Chapter 14, The Line We Cross. Trey came back the same way he always did. No warning, No call, just presence. He walked into the garage like nothing was different, like nothing had burned down in his absence. Same hoodie, same stare. But Q saw it right away. Something in his eyes was colder. Lil D flinched when he saw him. Trey didn't speak. He placed a folded piece of paper on the table, slid it across to Q. Q opened it. An address, South Compton, familiar block, one of Smoke's old trap spots. Q looked up. What's this? Trey sat down. Calm. Too calm. Word is, the cops got what they got from there. Someone passed that tape straight to him. Smoke was talking reckless at that party 2 nights ago. Said y'all got too loud, so he did what the city don't. Lil D shook his head. That don't mean nothing, bro. Smoke talks shit all the time. Trey didn't even look at him. It means enough. Q stood. What you planning? Trey leaned back. Just to talk. Bullshit. Trey locked eyes with him. You in or you out, nigga? Q hesitated. His heartbeat felt like it was sitting in his throat. Trey, he said quietly, if you do this, we don't come back. Trey smiled, but there was no joy in it. We already gone. He stood up, pulled his hoodie over his head, tucked something into his waistband. Lil D looked between them, panic rising. We gonna kill somebody over a fucking song? Trey looked at him like he was stupid. Ain't never been about the song. That night Q drove, not because he wanted to, but because someone had to keep Trey from going too far. He failed. Smoke was found in an alley the next morning, 2 in the chest, 1 in the head, execution style. No witnesses, no leads, just silence, and one of Rico's reels, burned black, left next to the body like a calling card. Chapter 15, Consequence. The raid came at 4:17 a.m., not the loud, sloppy kind from movies. No yelling, no battering ram, just 4 unmarked cars, boots on gravel, and a cold knock on Q's door that sounded like fate arriving on time. Q opened it half awake, boxers, t-shirt, brain still fogged from a dream that hadn't ended right. The badge came first, then the handcuffs, no words, no Miranda, just pressure. Lil D was picked up the same morning outside the corner store. He had a bag of sunflower seeds in one hand and a quarter blunt in the other. They didn't care. Trey wasn't home when they came for him, because Trey didn't wait for storms. He walked into the Compton precinct at 7:42 a.m. Hands raised, chin up. Didn't say a word, didn't need to. The detectives already had what they wanted, a dead body, a motive on wax, and a trail of silence they were ready to shape into guilt. In the holding cell, Q sat on a cold bench, staring at the floor. Across from him, Lil D looked like a ghost, hoodie off, eyes bloodshot, legs shaking. They said if I talk, D whispered, they'll drop the charges, help my mom, get me out in 6 months. Q didn't respond. He couldn't, because part of him, the tired part, the scared part, wanted to say yes too. Then the door opened, and Trey walked in, hands still cuffed, blood dried under his nose. He looked at both of them, then sat down, like this was just another night in the garage. Q finally spoke. We done? Trey nodded once. We been done. 3 days later, the charges stuck. Q got 5 years. Lil D took the deal. Trey stayed silent and caught the worst of it. 2nd degree, 20 flat. The tape played in court like a prophecy. Their voices, once full of fire, now turned against them. The city listened, then moved on, like it always does. Chapter 16, Straight Outta Choices. Q had forgotten what silence sounded like, not the silence of late nights in the garage or the quiet before a verse dropped. This was different, the kind of silence that wraps around your chest and squeezes, a silence made of concrete walls and locked doors and time that don't move. Prison wasn't new to him. In Compton, it was practically a rite of passage. But that didn't make it any less cruel. 5 years. That's what they gave him. Not for pulling a trigger, not for hiding a body, for words, for bars, for being too damn honest in a world that don't want your truth unless it's dead first. He got a letter once, halfway through his second year. No return address, no signature, just one line. You got locked for a story you didn't even write. He knew it was true. They didn't kill Rico Johnson. Trey sure as hell didn't. But the lyrics, the details, they matched. Too close. And someone, maybe Trey, maybe the streets, had used that truth like a weapon. Maybe to make a point, maybe just to feel powerful again. But now Rico was dead. So was Smoke. Trey was serving 20. Lil D, outside, quiet, working some job Q would never ask about. Block Preachers never dropped an album, just one demo and one case file. Q still wrote sometimes. Bars scratched onto napkins, tray liners, the backs of discipline reports. But he didn't rap anymore. He just listened to the silence, to the echoes of voices he used to call brothers, to the sound of a dream bleeding out. There ain't no happy endings when you start straight out of choices. There's just the beat, then the break, and then the quiet. New story drops every Monday. Appreciate you being here. Follow No Filter State.